So I'll try to go over as many as I can. But even just off the top of my head, I'm not going to remember them all. But we'll go over some of them. We'll definitely go over the market. All right, so let's get started. All right. Good afternoon. This is Ifan from the Strategic Day Trader. This is your market wrap for March 18th, 2020. Q's down 3% and SPY down 4.55. Now, the SPX did hit the 7% circuit breaker. It made a new low and then bounced from there. While the market's down, made a little bit of a recovery here just into the close. Let's go to the 15-minute here so you can see it. A lot of kind of that loss was recovered just in that last pop there. Okay. Coming into today, our bias was bearish. Okay, bearish. If we break over this neutral, I'd have to see follow through, and then potentially the next entry could be played long. So what happened today? We gapped down. We never broke over this area, and then we sold off. We stayed bearish. Okay, so pretty well prepared, I thought, for today, and especially if you've been watching the videos over the past few days. I think you're really prepared. Like the stuff that we had, the plays that set up, just there was something to do at every minute, and it's just it's kind of overwhelming, honestly, how many things there are set up and how many opportunities there are in this kind of environment. And so we'll definitely go over them. But first, going into tomorrow, bias is still going to be bearish. Okay, right now we'll be watching for an hourly sell setup. So we're probably going to, we'll see. If we get more kind of follow through this green bar, we're going to run into resistance. And then that will give us a series of higher lows here. Okay, series of higher lows. And then underneath that, we'll trigger the sell setup, and then we'll see if we get follow through. I thought it was interesting. I was talking to someone yesterday during our coaching session, and I said, well, what do you think about the market going into tomorrow? They said, well, the sell setup right here, that triggered right here, is failing. Okay, so, maybe neutral. And I said, okay, well then if we have a sell setup, when does the sell setup fail? And he said, okay, over the topping tail. And I said, okay, are we over the topping tail? He said, no. So still bearish because we didn't fail on the sell setup. Now it didn't go right away, tried to base out a little bit, but you can see that eventually it did resolve lower. Okay, so keep that in mind as we set up the next sell setup. Okay, as we set up the next sell setup, trigger, we may not go right away. Okay, and you may see some back and forth, right, but doesn't fail until we take out the top of the pivot. Okay, all right, so let's take a look at some of these plays here. The INN played this twice. This was once before lunch and then after lunch. This was actually prior to the halt. You can see this looked pretty good on the level 2. You had a base breakdown here. And then actually covered right before the halt, just because I'm doing it kind of an automatic trail there. So it popped a couple cents, and so that just gets me out because it just follows penny by penny as it moves its way down. And then we got a halt because the SPX hit 7% down, and then this came back down to this area and then was played again. So I know quite a few people played this. As well, and we just same thing, penny by penny, all the way down until finally, I think my exit was around 3699, so almost 37. So it was a nice base. We got at 50, and then I just let it go penny by penny, never trails out, and then once it pops, you're out. So it's good to have that trail in the system because if you do it manually, potentially it could be a little bit too slow. It could be caught on this. And you could give it all back. So it's good to have that already in place. Okay. MIK, what a nice play there from Sammy on the MIK. Again, base breakdown, sets up a nice base, and you just manage it penny by penny. Fell apart. Really, really nice on the MIK. Okay. And then the EQH from James. Base breakdown. You can see there's a little bit of a breakout failure there before falling apart. I think that's 80 cents that it dropped. So I mean, and that is really just scratching the surface. You know, the just the stuff that was out there. Now, if you're not as familiar with scalping, you can definitely find some of the videos that have been done for the strategic day traders on kind of what to look for, how to play them, how to manage them. Um, so, you know, hopefully, you know, you're taking advantage of these plays. You know, we're putting them out in the room just kind of by the dozens. It's, you know, because a lot of times I think it's going to be sector as well. So a lot of these are kind of related to hospitality. REITs were really weak. Energy also started the day off really weak. So, you know, once those sectors have kind of established the weakness and the downtrend, you know, you have all these names in there that are potentially going to set up these patterns. Doesn't mean every single one will. Um, the only other thing I think that I've noticed that's really important about these plays is that you have to keep an eye on the market too, because when the market, like here at the end of the day, even though there were still some that looked all right, as the market popped, a lot of them reversed. Okay, so something to keep an eye on. Here, this is the reason that kind of these plays were so abundant today, especially after the morning, like the early morning, is when the market's grinding lower, is when they're just great, right? It's when the follow through is really great. So there weren't as much in the morning because the market was moving up, and there I don't think there was as much yesterday during this time either. Um, but once the market started grinding lower, then you just see them show up everywhere. So, um, you know, we've been looking at these, I guess, for 3 days straight now, and you know, as long as these are what's working, you know, I don't see any reason to kind of go after anything else. Um, so, you know, hopefully you're doing well, and you know, day trading is just where it's at right now, and you know, really glad that we're just getting all these opportunities. The people in the room have been scanning just so impressively, and you know, it's no surprise when you're getting rewarded, when you're getting paid. Of course, you're going to keep doing, you know, what is working. So it's almost, you know, everybody, all hands on deck are looking for these plays. And so we're just getting them. And like I said, I just picked a few, you know, just wanted to pick one from each of the moderators, although they were just, we were getting dozens at a time. And so, you know, hopefully you got to take advantage of them, because we don't know necessarily, you know, how many more days or how much longer, you know, things are going to set up this way. But as long as they're there, you know, we'll just continue to go after them, okay? All right, so going into tomorrow, gonna be bearish. We're gonna need to see a decent enough rally from the market. The highs from yesterday will be a critical resistance area. So we'll see if the market actually breaks through that. If that's the case, then we'll switch to a neutral bias, okay, and see if we get, you know, continued strength, and then the next buy setup could put the short-term bottom in, okay, but we're a couple setups away from that. All right, so still bearish going into tomorrow. Yesterday's high should be some significant resistance. If we get through that, then we'll no longer be bearish. Okay, so that's the plan. All right, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow. All right, have a good evening.